What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Cleverus.
We get nerdy nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
And we have spoilers. This is spoiler chat for episodes 7 and 8, the finale. So this is the big one, kids, of The Witcher Season 2. Let's do this. Grunt. If you're like, who was that joke for? That joke was for you.
I was like trying to hold eye contact with the camera for that entire time, and I made it almost until the end.
So close.
Almost.
So close. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That is right. Welcome back to our spoiler chat for 7 and 8 of The Witcher. Mm-hmm. This is where things get real. I almost don't...
Yeah.
The tough thing about doing these in 2-episode chunks is right now I don't really want to talk about episode 7 at all.
Yeah. And and here's the thing. Episode 7 was definitely the setup. Mm-hmm. Right? And I have to say, the season got real good at the end there. Yeah. Like, real good.
I would say the back half of this season has been consistently awesome.
Yeah. And it was a bit of a rough start. And, like, we went, like...
Yeah, and then straight up. Literally straight up.
Yeah.
Because I think that Season 2 is now firmly better than Season 1.
Yes, definitely.
In terms of The Witcher, having seen the final few episodes. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about him. Episode 7 begins with Geralt in the spa. He's talking to the manager, who's very upset that she failed her people. She didn't. Geralt reveals, hey...
Yeah.
That was beard hair. This is 100% my fault. They were here for Ciri. Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what can I do to help?
Yeah, but like, I just feel so bad for her.
I know, me too.
Death and destruction follow Geralt and Ciri everywhere they go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was a really well done scene too. It wasn't like it's clear she's Geralt shows her a lot of respect. Mm-hmm. It's very clear that she is like a person deserving that respect.
Yeah.
But is also doesn't try to tell him what to do or think that she knows best.
Or blame him.
Yeah. She's like, what can I do to help? How can I make this better? And it was like such an interesting it was such an interesting perspective from a character who definitely has the like wisdom and authority to give out instruction to people. I
just was very struck by her reverence for Ciri. Yeah. Like she knows that what happened was bad. She knows like she kind of failed her people by allowing it to happen within her walls, right? But at the same time, she knows how important Ciri is.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm gonna mourn this, but you have to go. You have to go take care of business. Boy does Geralt do that, because in the last episode, before we heard from our dear friend, or before Yennefer betrayed him, Geralt heard from his dear friend, Yennefer, that she met up with Jaskier and that he was probably in prison in Oxenfurt.
Yeah.
And so Geralt's like, who do I need in this situation?
My good old sing-songy pal.
Jaskier. And I was like, do you need him right now?
Well...
Is this the best use of your time?
Well, okay. I think so, because right now, like, Geralt doesn't really have any leads for what Yennefer is doing, and the last person to have seen Yennefer is Jaskier.
Good. You know what? You're right. No, you're not even kind of right. You're 100%. That is very true, because he does need Jaskier to know that she's going to Cintra.
Yes, exactly.
Because Jaskier is the one who reveals you. Yeah, God, you're so smart. Beauty and brains. That's why I married her, because I'm an idiot. But God, I'm hot. So
that's true.
So okay. So Geralt, they set up this scene where Geralt's beating up the guard, and Jaskier's singing with the mice. I like the song he was coming up with too. I was really into that song. I'm hoping they put that one out as a track.
You know what it reminds me of? And if you have not watched Dungeons and Daddies, you are not going to know what I'm talking about. But remember when Freddie Wong's character gets trapped in the prison that moves faster in time, and he has a friend Mouse that he names after his son?
Nick Jr.?
Well, he's Nick Jr. and he's a bard. So I imagine that he was also in there putting
the rat is Nick Jr.
Right. Yeah. The rat is Nick Jr.
That's so funny.
I couldn't not think about it. I just want to give a shout out to Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah, if you haven't listened, season 2 of Dungeons and Daddies is about to begin. I think next week. Yeah. So if you start now, you can listen to all 68 and a half episodes of Dungeons and Daddies and get caught up. It's one of the best things on the internet.
Yeah, we're not sponsored or anything. No. We just absolutely love that podcast so much. So if you like D&D, definitely check it out. Yeah. Anyways, back to The Witcher.
So they set it up that Geralt's going to enter, and you think Dandelion's going to be a pouty, sassy, kind of the way he was with Yennefer in the past episodes. And I just love the moment so much where he stands up and goes, you know what? And goes in for that hug. And I was like, God, you know what? I've got friends like that, I've got friends who I have a sometimes contentious relationship with, but when we get together again, we hug it out, we're bros, and, Dandy, I love the way they portray Dandy in the show, because he just has such a beautiful heart, despite everything that happens around him.
Despite him being a little
but that's his defense mechanism, because the world is hard, especially his world. And he has these big walls up around that heart, but it's there. And as soon as Ciri's in trouble, Dandelion's going. He has nothing to really contribute other than a little bit of information, but he comes along anyway. Like, Dandelion's not useful in a fight, right? But he goes because he has to be there for his friends. And that portrayal of Jaskier in the show, I want to call it out because I just think it's been so cool in season 2.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree with that. It was a great moment, and it wasn't, they didn't linger on it. It was, they've been through all the shebang together. Like, they have seen it all, and Geralt's like, I need you. And Danny's like, it's great.
It was great.
Yeah.
And so let's just keep going with them for a minute here, because they're in the woods. They're trying to make it to Cintra to join our good friends, Ciri and Yennefer, who are their friends. But Yennefer, girl, we're upset with you. And they get attacked in the woods.
Oh my god, do they?
Do you not remember who attacks them in the woods? Because they're in the rest of the show.
Oh, yeah. No, they don't get attacked.
They get attacked.
It's okay.
There is a sword held to Geralt's throat before they realize it's Geralt.
What?
They get, attacked. And then they're like, oh, it's you.
No, they throw an axe.
Yeah, but they're, about to fight. And Geralt's like, hey. And they're like, oh, it's Geralt. They were going to attack Geralt because they're protecting the road. And then they realize it's Geralt, so they don't.
I don't know. I think the way I remember it is there was an axe in Dandy's shirt, and then they walked over to see them, and were like, hey.
Whatever. The point is, they attacked them first. Throwing an axe at someone is not an act of kindness. Geralt was ready to take their heads off.
Excuse me.
Bless you. And so we have the band, the dragon hunting band back together from season 1.
Yeah, seriously.
We just need Yennefer. It's the final piece of the puzzle.
Yep. And...
Also, a decade has passed since that, and none of them have aged.
Right.
That was 10 years ago.
No, yeah, you're
universe.
100% right.
That was before Ciri was born, and she's 14. It might even be a decade and a half ago, and no one has aged.
That's true.
The only person who should have visibly aged is Dandelion.
Dandy, and he hasn't.
He has not.
Yeah.
I mean, his hairpiece got worse, so maybe that's where they're showing the aging, is that his wig doesn't fit as well anymore, but...
Wow.
I got used to the wig. The last couple episodes, the wig being bad didn't bother me as much.
Yeah, it didn't stick out as much. It was,
I was desensitized.
Yeah. We're like, it's just bad, move on.
So the company joins Geralt and Dandy, and they head off towards Cintra. Now let's over to our other friends heading towards Cintra.
Ciri and Yennefer.
Ciri's portal from the end of episode 6 lands them in the house that she stayed in before the Battle of Sodden.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, that family's dead. And this world is a nightmare.
Yep. It's awful. I wouldn't want to live there. You shouldn't want to live there. I hate everything.
Yeah.
So Ciri's upset about it.
Because she thinks that her presence there is what killed them.
Yeah. Because she was like, how did they know? Nobody knew that I was here. What happened? Which eventually leads to a conversation where Yennefer manipulates Ciri into heading towards Cintra.
Brilliantly manipulated.
Brilliantly done.
It's
I
really...
hate you, Yen, but yeah, well done.
It is smart the way Yennefer makes Ciri be the, active choice maker in going towards Cintra. Right? She, because there's the version of this where she kidnaps Ciri, but she can't, right? She doesn't have her power. Ciri's very powerful. And she's probably not physically strong enough to carry even if she were to knock Ciri out, she probably can't carry her for leagues to Cintra, right? Mm-hmm. So how does she do it? Oh, well, the Nilfgaardians would have taken Geralt there. Yeah. We have to go save him. Yeah. And it makes me hate her more. Yeah. Because she's manipulating Ciri, but it also makes me respect her for, like, quick thinking. And it leads to some beautiful moments. The story they tell over the course of this episode, where Yennefer starts to feel connected to Ciri and fall in love with her a little bit in terms of, like, friendship love, you know, almost like a mother-daughter love. She kind of becomes Ciri's stepmom. Yeah. And the way that happens, I felt really was organic and was built on some really nice situations that were really well written. I love the Ciri and Yennefer stuff in this episode a lot. Yeah, and the through line that carries right to the very end, not to jump ahead into the scene, but in that moment where she says, when she was teaching Ciri, how she felt that, like, she felt some kind of inspiration to keep living. You know, when she had her magic stripped away from her, she's like, I couldn't feel anything. Yeah. And that, like, those moments with Ciri, with mentoring her and caring for her, brought her back to the Yen that we like. Well, and the Yen from season one. Not a child killer. The Yen from season one whose goal was to have a child, right? Yeah. And so I don't think she was saying... I guess you could interpret it as she, like, felt magic again, but I don't think that's what the show was saying. I think the show was really saying, like, being around Ciri, she started to feel like a personal goal again, and like the value of that internally. Yes. And Ciri gave that to her, gave her purpose a little bit. Yeah. And I believed it. Like, those scenes happened in such a believable way. When Ciri's crying blood as she's trying to rebuild that bridge. Yeah. Like, I really believed Yen getting to the point where she cared about Ciri in a way that she did not want her to hurt herself. Yeah. And I was like, this is awesome. This episode, I think the finale is the best episode of the season. I think the finale is incredible, and we'll talk about it. But this episode had so much wonderful character stuff in it that I really love the way they dug down into these relationships, in broadening these relationships, in bringing people back together, right? Bringing Jaskier and Geralt back together and having them have an emotional reconnection. Yeah. Bringing Ciri and Yennefer together and having them have an emotional connection. Bringing Fringilla and Kahir back together, because let's talk about it. Weird. Wait, one quick thing is that often I find that in shows, episode 7 or the pre-finale can be a little bit of either a sleeper or like a not as exciting or a little lackluster, right? Because they have to do all this setup and put the pieces all together to, like, bounce you off into the finale. But I didn't feel a dip at all in this, like it just kept moving and pushing and, like, really like upped that quality. So well done, props for that. Part of the reason for that is because Fringilla and the Nilfgaard storyline in this episode is nuts. It's nuts. Yeah. First of all, God, you know what? So it starts with Fringilla going back to her uncle. Yes. Who was previously on the council at the Brotherhood. I think he's still on the council, I think he is. But he's not the leader anymore, right? No. Obviously, Tisea has taken over leadership of that, and Vilgefortz. Oh, really? For some reason, it felt like they were in the middle of, like, a changeover, like a vote or something, because they had to... Yeah, but in the scene with Tisea and Vilgefortz... They talk about how they have a new mantle of responsibility. Oh, so okay, I think that went their way. Vilgefortz must be the new, like, head of whatever, but he's still there. Yeah, and so Fringilla comes to him and says, "I think I'm in trouble, and you are my family, and you can't do anything about that." And he could have won her back over, but instead he said the one thing that would send her back into Nilfgaard. And it was fascinating because I was like, like, Fringilla's going to leave Nilfgaard. Like, this is going to be she's going to do something crazy and she's going to get out. And that might still happen because of what happens later. But in that moment, he says, you have to acknowledge that you were wrong and that all the good you thought you were going to do there, you couldn't accomplish. Yeah, I think that scene changes on a dime. Oh, yeah. I think it, like, doesn't it end off with, There are people who chase power and there are people who know their place. And I'm glad that you know which one you are. Oh, and she's dude. Like, and she genuinely... Beast mode initiated. Like, you could have taken that enemy off the table, dude. Yep. you could have brought your niece back into the fold if you just had, like,
You
not said what you said, but you said what you said. And so Fringilla's like, well, I can't come back here.
Say?
So, and this is where things then get very crazy.
Holy crap. Yeah. She poisons all of the, like, officers for the Nilfgaardian army. Poisons them with something, with a paralysis poison. Hemlock. Yeah. Literally, and they all... Luckily, movie magic
happens. They freeze at the exact same time.
Moment.
Which isn't how that would work.
No.
If you were to get paralyzed, because there's the one guy standing up holding the urn.
Yeah.
And if you were to get paralyzed in that position, you would fall over. Like, you don't...
Yeah,
if you are paralyzed,
you are always, like, working with gravity and balance. Yeah, if your muscles are paralyzed when you're standing up, you would most likely just topple.
The guy standing up would topple. The guy holding his swords, his arms would fall. Like, you don't get, like, locked up.
Petrificus totalis.
Yeah, it felt more like that. It felt like a magic spell because it was so sudden and it hit all of them at the same time.
That's what I thought. I thought it was magic.
Even though...
But it's a poison.
In the scene, they're like, oh, Kahir, you're falling behind. So Kahir at that point has consumed less hemlock than the other people at the table. And I was like, why not just make it magic? She literally has magic.
Yeah, they honestly should have just made it magic.
And they made it look like magic. It was very confusing.
Yeah, that was... you should have just made it magic. It was weird that it was the poison...
Unless she needed them to ingest it so that she could then, like, activate it with magic. And that's why it was all at the same time?
Maybe.
And so she was literally just standing there waiting for Kahir to drink so that she could activate it in all of them at the same time?
You know what? Maybe. I would buy that. I just wish that we had had a scene. Like, you have, like, a long shot of the table and her, like, blurry in the background and she just does a thing. Mm-hmm. And then you would know that...
It's one of those weird things where hemlock is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, hemlock exists in real life. Mm-hmm. And so we know how hemlock works.
Yeah.
So for the show to use... If you're going to do what they did in the show, just you make something up.
Yeah.
Just make up a fictional plant that does what you want it to do. But to use a real plant and be like, it magically stops everyone from moving at the exact same time...
Well, and here's the thing. If it had been hemlock that you could activate with magic, that would make total sense. And I'd be like, that's dope, right? You have the alchemic components and the magic components working together to do something. And
but
so
she literally says it's just botany. She's like, I'm so glad that in Aretuza I learned botany. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what botany you learned, but this is magic.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. A little bit of a missed opportunity there, I think, for a cool... moment. I mean, the rest of the scene
is such a cool moment.
Phenomenal. Yeah. It was just a little bit of a rocky start. But anyways, putting that aside, we talked about it.
She then murders everybody.
Well, does she murder...
Slowly and violently.
Does she murder the one guy that she stabs through the eye? I feel like he might...
What are you talking... She sticks a 6-inch blade in his head. That dude is dead.
Yeah, I guess
That dude is beyond... Babe.
I didn't think about how long the knife is.
Your eye is like an inch.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's a brain.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I for some reason, I thought that I wasn't paying attention how long
You're going to slap an eye patch over that and he's going to be fine?
I don't know. I thought I wasn't paying attention to how long the knife was.
That's fair,
That makes sense.
No, they're all dead.
Oh, yeah, she slowly, one by one, murders them all in different ways that she's very clearly, like, thought about and planned.
And it's
while Kahir,
so cool.
Oh, it's horrendous to watch, but it's amazing.
That scene was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Kahir goes along with it, really. I don't really I didn't really...
I mean, I would be terrified.
And honestly, he makes the decision to go along with it because he sees her power. Mm-hmm. And as you know, you've seen both episodes if you're watching this. He pays the price for it later, right?
Yeah, you want to be on the winning team, and in that moment, Fringilla is the winning team.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah.
But he makes the wrong choice. Because he does go along with her power. Mm-hmm. I understand why she did it. I get it, and I think that it was a smart choice on her part. Mm-hmm. Kahir, you goofed by going along with it, dude. God, it was so cool. We were on the couch freaking out. Awesome scene. Awesome.
Really well done.
But honestly, all of the action and like physical stuff in this episode and the next episode, both fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So also in Nilfgaard, the baby of the elves, I can't remember if this happens before that scene or after, but the baby of the elves gets murdered by someone. We don't know who.
We don't know who.
And it's traumatizing. It was... and the worst part about it is that the episode started, and I can't remember which scene it was, but I turned to you and I was like, oh, that baby's gonna die.
Oh, yeah.
I like turned to you, I was like, that baby is like going to die.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of saw it coming, honestly.
Yeah.
The Baba Yaga feeds off of despair and like, you know what I mean? Like there was no way that baby was going to live.
The deathless mother.
Yeah.
But she lives in the Baba Yaga house, and I just can't let go of that image of the house with the chicken legs.
Yeah.
It's just from so
funny.
many things that, like, it's Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Fringilla's despair at having to kill to, like, be a Nilfgaard, and the Francesca's despair at her baby dying is enough despair for the Baba Yaga to return to the world. And that happens later in the episode, so we'll get to what that moment is, because we have a couple more things to talk about. Because the elves, they pissed.
They're pissed.
Dara is like in there
Dara-
being like, the Redanians sent me as a spy.
Yeah.
He reveals himself.
Yeah, he says Dijkstra. He makes that decision himself. He decides that he doesn't want to spy any longer. Which honestly, like Dijkstra, like you should have, like, you're gonna put in a sleeper agent. You gotta just do better than like pick somebody off the street.
That's not it though. I think Dara would have been the best sleeper agent if that baby hadn't been born. Dara was committed to the cause until he saw his people joyful at the birth of that baby. And that turned him. And rightfully so, right? Like, I think that Dara experiences hope for the first time since Ciri ran off.
It's when the baby dies that he tells them.
No,
yes, it is.
No, but he tells Dijkstra he's done before that.
That's true. He does tell Dijkstra he's done before that.
It's
but
not the baby dying
dies.
that causes him to tell the elder elves, but it's the baby dying that causes him to tell the other elves because he wants revenge against the Redanians. But he tells Dijkstra at the beginning of this episode, before that he's done. He's out. He sees the joy of his people, and that's all he wants to work towards. And I really like this Dara character. He's complicated and he's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
And the way that they're cracking that nut is revealing a really, really complicated and like just like tortured character who deserves a little bit of happiness. And I'm so glad that he was getting it for a moment. Obviously that's ripped away from him and he becomes as evangelized and violent as the other elves are. But there was a brief moment where I was like, oh God, Dara's finally getting a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at the elves.
Honestly, yeah, they believe that Redania
what they do
murdered
is
the
crazy
baby.
and wrong, obviously.
What they do is horrendous, but yeah,
that's in the next episode, so we'll get to it.
I do not blame them for and that's why that's part of the reason that I think that the Deathless Mother is able to escape, because the despair of an entire race mourning for the loss of like the first like elf born in a century. Yeah. Like, of course that's gonna be enough to free you from the Witcher spell. And so basically we leave off the episode with Ciri and Yennefer.
They're so close to Cintra.
They're
gonna make it.
See it in the distance, and then they walk up to
and then they touch hands.
What? Oh, okay. So they walk up to the crevasse that Ciri made, right?
Yeah.
With the monolith, and she's like, "Yep, I destroyed that." And Yen is like, "Oh dang," and in this moment, like Yen is kind of Yen has like this connection to the Deathless Mother that seems to like pull her in and out of reality at some points. Like it's really represented really interestingly on screen. It's a little bit hard to understand what exactly it is, but it's magic, so whatever. And so Ciri realizes, because Yen is all like, I don't know what happens exactly that Ciri sees, but Ciri notices that Yen is, she's...
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
She's
so she touches
in
Yen
danger. Yeah.
And gets flooded with the reality of what Yen's plan is and what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's not having it.
Nope.
She's not having it one bit. And so she screams and the earth cracks beneath them.
Here's the thing. She doesn't scream.
Yes, she does.
No. She says, I don't trust you.
Yeah, and then she goes, ah, and the earth cracks.
No, it doesn't.
Did she not yell at all?
She did not
Weird.
scream. No, this came from, I don't trust you. And like, oh my, yeah, and I thought it was interesting, an interesting choice, right? Because every other time so far it has been this like guttural primal scream, but instead it was this like probably like really hurt Yen, but also this like just lashing out of
which
like,
is why I
her
think
hurt.
I added the scream in. Like my brain added it in.
Yeah.
Now having a couple hours later.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so the earth cracks, and it cracks all the way to the castle, alerting the guards.
This gets a little weird.
It does get weird.
They're like, ring the alarm.
Yes, and the horses show up immediately where Ciri and Yennefer are.
But the horses have like, they're like, the first time we see them, they're like 75 feet out from the castle already.
Yeah.
And then my question about it is there's a big X on the ground. That's the crevasse. But it's also kind of gone. Because how did the horses get to them?
They can jump over it. It's not that big a crevasse.
It's big enough for Geralt and Istrid to walk in it.
Yeah, horses can jump really far.
Okay, that's fair. Hey, whatever. The horses get there. They're attacking. They're fighting, and there's some combat going on. And speaking of characters getting places, that you're like, how did they do that?
Guess who shows up?
Geralt cuts one of their heads off.
Yeah.
And I was, look. I'm not mad that this show does this. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But it is so funny how much of this season characters just get places.
Yeah.
Like literally just get wherever they need to be at the exact... And I wouldn't mind if you had one Deus Ex Machina moment in your season, but this show has like...
It happens many times.
Every episode. Yeah. Some character manages to just show up at the exact same time as someone else in a different place.
Yeah. Like, and here's the thing. In this world, it seems like Kaer Morhen and Cintra are like a 2-hour ride apart.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it seems.
And Oxenfurt is also...
very nearby. Which in the video game, it takes you like 10 minutes to get there. But this is not...
It's the video game map.
Yeah. If this feels like the video game map, and in a really weird way, that you just kind of have to be like, okay, people show up in the places that they need to be, and that is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Because Geralt shows up with his merry band of men, and they murder all the guards.
It's a fun action sequence.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. And when Geralt, the first thing he does is flick his sword to Yen's neck. It's like, nah. Yeah, you done effed up.
Yeah.
And it's a really great moment. Like, Geralt, Henry Cavill does such an incredible job of Geralt being emotionless, but also so full of emotion.
No,
it's a weird way to say that, but you know what I mean.
He conveys a lot with very little.
Yeah. It's incredibly it's incredible. He's like he's an out of this world actor for sure.
Yeah. And honestly, like even the times where the show has dipped for us, he and Ciri have not dropped the ball at all this season.
No. Their stuff is the two of them
fantastic.
Together.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so we have our reunion, and Ciri is saved, and Yen is Yen's on Geralt's shit list, and so Geralt's like, look, Ciri, you can't go where I'm going, because I don't think Ciri understands this, but like the monster literally wants Ciri, right? Like that's where she was going anyway. Yeah. But I think they don't say it obliquely, but I think Ciri comes to an understanding of that. Yeah. Because she leaves a lot easier in the scene than she usually does. But Geralt sends her with the company and with Jaskier. He says, Jaskier, take her to Kaer Morhen. And Jaskier's like, fine. And
you're the child surprise.
He holds out his hand and she blows past him. It's not a best joke.
Like father, like daughter.
Great joke. 10 out of 10.
Wonderful.
And then
we get into the finale.
No.
Well, you're right.
Geralt,
one thing happens.
Geralt goes to Yennefer and he's like, say it. And I was like, say what?
Do it.
And then she says the like rhyme that takes her, and apparently it also takes Geralt with her, I guess.
Oh, right.
And so they go to Baba Yaga house and she's not there.
She escapes.
And you're like, where is she? And he's like, oh, that despair gave her a corporal form. And she's Sandman from Spider-Man 3. She's just like dancing on the breeze.
She's not sand. She's like red sparks. It's not sand.
But it floated on the breeze in the same way.
Yeah, okay? Yeah. Okay,
and then she settles into Ciri, and it's an incredible cliffhanger because Ciri's possessed by Baba Yaga, and she's going to Kaer Morhen, where the Witchers are, who Baba Yaga does not like because she's been trapped for like hundreds of years because of those same Witchers. And I was like, and we were like,
Like,
should we do that thing that we were going to do today before?
Or do we watch the finale?
Do we watch finale now?
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. So we hit play next. And before we get into the finale, we have to tell you about GamerSupps. That's right, gamersupps.gg. We're affiliated with this incredible energy company. If you're wondering how I have the energy to talk so quickly like I do in our videos, that's because of GamerSupps. If you go over there, you use our coupon code
Clarus. I know, I shouldn't. It's hard to say. Coupon code Clarus is literally a tongue twister in itself.
Coupon code Clarus. Coupon code Clarus.
CLARUS.
You get 10% off. 10%?
10%.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And they're also having some Christmas specials right now. So if you make an order, you get some free gifts. You can get a free waifu cup, a free sweatshirt, or some free samples of different flavors. The blue raz is my favorite flavor so far. But yeah, it's so good.
Blue raspberry is incredible.
Yeah, but GamerSupps is a great way to it's a great caffeinated drink with no sugar, no calories. And if you don't like coffee like me, you have the energy to get through the day.
Yeah. So head over there and use our code. And thank you to GamerSupps. We're going to have an unboxing of some GamerSupps merch on the channel soon. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. And you can see the very inappropriate sweatshirts that I can't wear around my mother.
Oh, please. It's fine.
I can't wear waifu merch around my mom.
Yeah.
You've met my mom. Let's get back to this episode because we're now in the finale. And the finale starts off with some dark crap happening because Ciri
goes around,
grabs a knife,
and murders
many
witchers. Murder. Yeah. Like you done. Yeah. I think she kills three total before she gets to Vesemir, which luckily Geralt arrives and shows up. And it's like
Vesemir, it's fun, right? Because Geralt bursts in the room and he's like, "What's going on here?" And Ciri's over in the corner, and Vesemir, Ciri's like, "Oh yeah, this old lady's here. She's killing people."
Oh no, there's this old lady.
She has everyone fooled in the room. Vesemir's like ready to go hunt her down. Yennefer's like looking around, but Geralt keeps his eyes. He knows, and he walks up and he touches her cheek and he brushes a little of that soot off her cheek, and he's like, "What do you want?"
Blood.
No, the blood is still there, but he brushes away the like black soot that was in the air off her cheek.
Oh,
that's what it looked like to me.
I thought it was the blood. I thought he was like.
But Ciri's been bleeding this whole season.
That's true.
Like literally.
I fell off my horse again.
Yeah. They were literally attacked by Nilfgaardians. Like, I don't know how long the ride is, but it seemed like the ride was like 25 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It was like a quick Uber over.
And so the Geralt doesn't trust. Geralt's knows.
Not fooled.
He's like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "Power, some shit."
I don't remember what she says, but then slices him across the face and runs. And Ciri
gives that like uppercut with a knife. Scary move. Yeah. Scary move.
And Ciri goes and she messes stuff up. She goes to the tree where they hang the Witcher medallions when they die. And she cracks it open, and guess what's inside?
Lo and behold.
Guess what's inside? One of those monolith. That's it. It's like it's an M word. Monolith.
It's an om-nom-nom-nom.
No,
there is a monolith inside of the tree.
Or I said monument. That's what I said.
And then you said obelisk.
Yeah.
And then you said omnomalist.
It's fine.
It's a monolith. And Ciri goes all... Well, no, actually.
She goes all banshee.
We don't see that yet, because first, we see Yennefer pull Jaskier down into the lab, and Yennefer does what witches do best. Make potions. Which I was like, is that what witches do? We've never seen a witch make a potion like this whole show. I'm pretty sure it's the first potion we've seen Yennefer ever make. She is selling potions at one point. She is selling potions at one point.
Yeah, she's like an herbalist. Yeah.
But the witches in this world don't typically make potions. That just doesn't seem to be like their thing.
Yeah, it was just an interesting line. I was like, okay. So she makes she makes Jaskier a potion and is like, this is to what's the words that he says?
Get this to Geralt.
Yeah, get this to Geralt and tell him something about the evil within, or I don't know. I couldn't remember.
It's to draw the Baba Yaga out of Ciri.
Yeah, but they don't end up using it, so it kind of doesn't even matter.
I don't think it would work.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. But it does get Dandelion in the room for some.
But also, she's like,
comedy.
take this to Geralt, And then they both go to the same place, and I'm like, why didn't she just go?
I don't know.
With it.
Maybe she thought she was gonna do something. Anyways, so all the Witchers that are left, that are not
dead. They go to that armory. They're like, we gotta kill Ciri. And Geralt's like, we don't have to kill Ciri. And Vesemir's like, look, I fought you on killing Eskel. You were right. We killed Eskel. And it is I am glad that y'all know, if you watch our spoiler chats up until now, you know I did not like the Eskel moment. I did not like the way it was handled. I felt like that could have been any Witcher. I still feel like it could have been any Witcher.
Yeah.
But I am at least glad that episode resonated in the finale and was purposeful.
There was a payoff.
In Vesemir having a different point of view on killing Ciri because of the situation with Eskel. And him having to lose Eskel in that way, but seeing that it was the way for the Witchers to survive, gave him the point of view in this fight that Ciri had to die for the Witchers to survive. And that he's willing to do that. He's willing to protect these boys who he views as his sons, right? In order to continue the legacy of the Witchers forward.
Yeah.
And so, despite the fact that I genuinely have my reservations about episode 2, and I think it's the weakest episode of the season, even that was brought into the finale in a way that like was a nice touch and made this, it honestly ties the whole season together nicely, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think, I wish it had just been some other Witcher, because I think they kind of did Eskel dirty. But I understand, I agree. I like that it tied and factored back in, because it felt like it meant more.
And then, speaking of Witchers being done dirty, they all show up. They take their elixirs. They got their black eyes. They're ready to fight. And Ciri's like, Baba Yaga Ciri's like, oh ho ho, if I scream, big portal opens, and out comes the beginning of the dopest stuff.
She shatters the monument first.
Oh yeah,
and it bursts, and she uses the shards to murder like another 2 Witchers, I think at least. And
they shield on the way, out.
Oh my god!
But like a boomerang, you never see it coming from behind.
But it comes back around, and it cuts them down, and that visual effect. I just had to mention.
No,
it looks
seriously.
So good.
Well done.
Then
very cool.
Then the portal opens, and out come these like
Velocibasilisks.
Yeah.
And
these
they look
incredible looking creatures.
So good.
Oh my god, the creatures in this episode were phenomenal. Yeah. A+++. Like, looked so good. The CGI looked good. All the effects look fantastic. Yeah. And they start wreaking havoc. And Ciri's like, glowy eyes.
And it's nice because it shows... It gives the Witchers something to like fight in the finale and let the Witchers kind of like have a worthy adversary, because some of the Witchers, one Witcher gets his face bit off, one Witcher gets his head bit off. They really go for the head.
I mean,
you know, if you're gonna kill someone, it is the easiest way. But the even in the backgrounds of these scenes, there's great fighting going on, and the choreography of this fighting against basilisks looked really great. The basilisks always look really good. I was so like, this episode is the best episode of the season to me, and part of the reason is because the action was 10 out of 10. I was like on the edge of the couch because I watched a lot of this, like, ooh, that's fun, you know, lean back, and then those basilisks came out, and I was like, I might as well have been at the Super Bowl. I was so hyped up for this fight.
And it wasn't just the main characters; it was everybody, like the Witchers.
Cohen, Lambert get involved. I think Cohen died, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was hard to keep track of who was who, because it's a battle.
Violent.
It was horrible. Yeah. But yeah, so Geralt tries to rip the deathless mother from Ciri, because Ciri is having this vision where she's back at home in Cintra and everyone's alive and she's at a ball and dancing, and so she's just happy to be there.
And so let's talk about this dream, right? Because I think even in the last spoiler chat, I was like, I'm pretty sure Emhyr is going to be her dad, right? Just because that is how it is in the games. That's a part of the lore. And I was like, it makes sense that his ship went down. He washed up somewhere. He rose up, became king of Nilfgaard. I don't know how, like, he became king of Nilfgaard and no one ever knew that it was this very famous royal from Cintra.
Yeah, or
whatever.
That he's, I don't know how the white flame. Yeah. I think we're going to find out.
I guess no one in Cintra saw him in that war, but like what was weird about it is that he is like technically in the line for the crown of Cintra when he's fighting that war, which made me very confused about how the whole thing went down, because he could have shown up and been like, hi, I'm the king of Nilfgaard, and also I'm like the prince-in-law.
Would still have to kill Ciri's grandmother.
I don't know that you would. You could have just because you could have been like, "Hey, Mom, let's not fight." It is weird to me that you would go to war with your mother-in-law and hide that it's you.
There must be a reason, because she would never give Ciri up.
But that's still her dad.
Well, and also here's the weirdest part about it. Do the kingdoms never have like political meetings? Does she not know
but they
who
do.
the
We
king
see the
of
political
Nilfgaard
meeting with
is?
all the kings at the table, except for obviously Vesemir, I think, is the king that's left out of that one. Is it not Vesemir?
Vesemir is...
Oh, right. No. I'm talking about King
Vizima.
Is his name Vizima?
There's a V-Z somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, he must like have hidden his identity because Ciri's grandmother would know that he was the king of Nilfgaard, and so them attacking it's.
I was a little confused. And we're gonna get answers in season 3, I'm assuming. But once they revealed that I was right and it was him, I was like, wait a second. Why did you go to war with your mother-in-law?
There are a lot of questions that need answering.
Did Calanthe sink your boat and kill her daughter? I don't think so.
No, I don't.
Doesn't really make sense.
Think she would have. She loved her daughter.
If you showed up and you were like, hey, I'd like to see my daughter, I don't think Calanthe would have been like, I think Calanthe would have been like, you're alive. Not like, no, stay away from Ciri.
It's very confusing. We have a lot of questions, but questions
but it makes for a great
are
reveal.
Exactly, yeah, and questions that are there like rightfully so, and that I think will be answered. But
and tease us along till season 3, right? That like give us that desire to. Yeah. I hope season 3 is not 2 years away like this one was. I hope it's only 1.
Yeah, and so luckily,
the dream sequence, the dream sequence is partially in this episode. To get Ciri out of the fight because someone has to possess her, but it's also there to reintroduce that face, so that when he turns around at the end of the episode, you're like, oh yeah, it's the dad from the flashback.
Yeah. So that we recognize him, and we make sure that we know him. 100%, and that's why his face was hidden earlier.
Before we get into the final fight, let's go back to, oh my god, Carinthia? What's it called?
Which?
The town that Fringilla and Kahir are in. Corinth? Carinth?
I don't know.
I've said it multiple times in the beginning of this episode, and now I can't remember what it's called. Calanthe is the queen of... Cintra. Thank you. My brain. So back in Cintra, this is all going down up north. In Cintra, Fringilla and Kahir are preparing for Emhyr's arrival, and the elves have left. They're gone.
Yeah.
They went to Redania to go wreak havoc over the death of the baby. And while Fringilla and Kahir don't know who killed the baby, they decide to take credit for it because it is the best way for them to stay in good favor of Emhyr, they think. Yeah. And we cut to Redania, and Francesca is killing all the babies.
Yep. She does some kind of like magical curse. And basically like paints the town with it, and you hear all these like babies crying, and then it just stops, and then all these like mothers screaming, and you're like,
and you almost like, God, like it's wartime, and you're just kind of like, I get it, but also like, Francesca, you went off the deep end.
Well, and even her brother's like, this is not the way, and she was like, you don't know what I've been through.
Even though he's the dad.
No, that's her brother. Ew.
Isn't he the father?
No, Philivandrel is the father. Her brother's the other redhead dude.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Philivandrel right now. Yeah.
No. I think Philivandrel is on board. He doesn't really say much, but it's her brother who comes up to her and is like, Francesca, stop it. And she's like, no.
Do you really want to murder babies? And like,
and she does.
I think the level of anger she is feeling is justified, right? I think the way she is going about enacting her revenge... It's dark because there's no coming back from it.
No,
like Francesca can never be a good person again.
That's a line that you cannot take back.
And it is a red mark on her soul that she's going to feel the weight of until the day she dies, and that sucks.
Yeah,
and like it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough world. But Francesca, you killed babies.
Yeah,
you killed the innocents of the innocents, and it's like.
Yeah.
It hurt. That scene hurt. It was hard to watch. And there's a lot of like vile, gruesome stuff in Witcher, but that was tough. The sound of those babies' cries stop was like, I like felt it in my butthole. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my just like a slight tension just like started where I poop, and
Jesus Christ,
it just stuck with me through the rest of the episode.
Oh God. Anyways, we have to get into the finale here. This final fight.
That is where the elf story leaves off.
Yeah.
Before we get into the final fight, let's do the Emhyr thing first. Let's just get everything out of the way, and then we'll talk about Geralt. Because once we get into the Geralt Ciri thing and Yennefer at the end, I'm not gonna want to go back to Emhyr. So
fair enough.
In Cintra, this is the reveal at the end. They're talking and like they're like, oh, I just whatever.
Yeah,
it cuts to Cintra.
Kahir
and Fringilla they're in a procession behind Emhyr.
They're walking very, very slowly towards the throne, and they're telling him what their plan was.
And even before the reveal, you know that it's Ciri's dad because they don't just immediately show his face.
Because they don't show his face, exactly. And so they're like, yes, this is what we did, and then we had the baby killed. And this is why. And
that's why the elves are working for us.
Yeah.
And Emhyr's like, I know the elves to only be about the elves. And this is the moment I know I can't trust you because dun dun dun.
I killed the baby. And you're like,
I would love if Werner Herzog turned around and he's like, I would like to kill the baby.
Jesus Christ.
Just goes full Mandalorian.
Oh, God.
So Emhyr had the baby killed because Emhyr, he didn't become the White Flame by being a dummy.
Nope.
He's a strategist. Granted, he's a strategist who's willing to kill babies, so like also not a good dude.
Yikes.
But
he says he'd be willing to do anything to get his daughter back, I think, is what he says.
But not tell his mother-in-law that he's alive, because apparently that is a step too far to see his daughter again.
Yeah, there's something funky going on there.
There's something, because he could have just gone back to Cintra.
Yeah.
It's not even like he was like across the ocean. He was on the same continent.
Yeah.
It's like being like, God, like I would love to go up to New York, but I'm in Memphis and I got to become the king of Memphis so that I can attack New York, so that I can go see the person in New York who would love to see me.
It's strange. We have a lot of questions that I think are going to be answered eventually.
That actor looks great though. I'm excited for him as
actor looks
Emhyr.
great. Yeah. Revealed that he's Ciri's dad.
Kahir and Fringilla are fudged.
Yeah, and they get taken off to prison because they lied. So that's fun. Yeah. And also Fringilla murdered a bunch of his like top ranking officers. So that's going to be fun to deal with next season. Going back to this final fight.
All right, so now the only thing left to talk about. The only thing left to talk about
is that freaking monster.
Oh my God. We thought the black basilisks were cool.
Oh my God. This like white one, oh my.
The albino Velocibasilisk. Yes. The albino Velocibasilisk looked so rad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, give Daddy Geralt something to fight. And boy, howdy did they.
Oh my God, what an incredible sequence of moments. Like, and they were moments, and it was so well done and so creative, and it looked like that. Oh, it looked so good. The CGI, the money they put into it really, really paid off. It looked incredible.
I am going to watch that fight scene so many times.
We're probably gonna watch the finale again like tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I want to watch season 1 and 2 back to back now.
Me too. I do. I wanna like kind of do like, I think like a overall video on both seasons all together.
It might come in 2022.
Yeah. It's gonna take some time, but I really do want. I'm really like, there have been some shortcomings in the show, but there are things that I really love about it that I want to analyze.
So Geralt fights albino velociraptor or velocibasilisk, and he gets it. He's clawing his chest. He's on the parapet outside. It looks like it's not going to go well. He ignites it in the face. The thing rears up because it's burnt, and then as it comes down to attack him with those big fangs, because they show the fangs, and the like CGI shot of the inside of the mouth was so cool with the teeth that like spread out as it opens its mouth.
Yeah,
rad. So rad. I was just living for it. And then as it comes down to attack him, he gets that sword up and it impales its own head on the sword. Yeah. And he just shoves it. And I was like, oh my God, I cheered.
Yeah.
I like applauded. I was living for that moment.
Yeah, good thing we don't have downstairs neighbors anymore.
Now we got a basement.
No, it's
a
nice.
mess.
And so so they have to withdraw the Deathless Mother from Ciri. And Geralt
they do the thing where they make the plea for Ciri to like overpower her, and it just isn't working. And she gets close a couple of times, but it just isn't working.
Yeah. And so what happens is Yennefer realizes that the Deathless Mother needs something to bond to in this world, and for some reason, her blood draws her out.
No, she needs to open up. I think she opens up a way for the Deathless Mother to, like, enter her.
I mean, she didn't need one for Ciri.
But, I mean, Ciri's cut up, as we said earlier. But also, she opens up... I think it had something to do with her old wounds. Because we know that she has marks on her wrists from when she tried to kill herself earlier. And she didn't have those healed when she went through the process to like fix her, or not fix, but like when she made herself the most desirable version of herself, she left those scars, right? Which was an interesting choice. And so she cuts those she's reopening those wounds. So I think it has something to do with that, is what makes her the best target for the Deathless Mother in that moment.
Yeah, it must. Because we're really given no reason as to why Yennefer's wounding herself and bleeding is what draws her out. Because very clearly the Deathless Mother wants Ciri. Wants Ciri more than anything else, because Ciri is the one who can get her home. And so not... And so her being in Yennefer doesn't help her at all. So it was a little bit strange. They didn't really tell us why that's what took her out. Yeah. But anyways, it does. It works.
It's a magic world. Yeah. If Yennefer says that's how it works, then that's how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
She draws the Deathless Mother into herself, and Ciri wakes up and takes them to whatever plane she's been drawing these monsters through the monoliths are.
Yeah, I love it. Ciri like wakes up from being possessed, and Geralt's like, "Hey, we need to talk right now, very quickly."
Like, I believe in you. You got this, but we gotta go.
You got right now, girl.
Yeah, and so they portal to another dimension,
but specifically through the monolith. Yeah. So because what Geralt says is, if you can draw monsters through the monolith this way, you can send them back.
Yes.
And so he's like, send her back.
And so it takes them all.
Yeah.
The three of them go with.
Yeah.
And then the Deathless Mother is released into the world.
But not just that. She is released, and she slowly takes her original form as a member of the Wild Hunt. And the Wild Hunt are here, everybody. They've arrived in the show. And they look... I mean, we saw a glimpse of them earlier, but like they look scary as hell. I said it in the spoiler chat. I need the Wild Hunt to look rad. I need you to pull this off, because they're the big bads, right?
Yeah.
Like they're where this is all going.
Yeah.
And I think they did that.
They pulled it off.
Oh, it looked cool. That plane looked cool. I don't know why they were on Mars, but like I was into it. It was very John Carter of Mars all of a sudden, and I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
And the Wild Hunt looked great.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
And they're galloping at him, and it's like, girl, we gotta go back.
Yeah. Get us out of here.
We don't. She's out of Yen.
Yeah.
Let's. And Ciri at the last second is like, okay, zoop.
Yeah.
And
is able to get them back, and Yen.
Wild. This episode was incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah. Yen gets her magic back.
Her chaos
back.
But here's the thing. She says, I felt it return when, and then she kind of trails off. I wonder if it was when Baba Yaga was inside her, when Baba Yaga left her, or when they went to the other place.
I thought she said, I felt it. And then doesn't Geralt say when you sacrificed yourself? Like, it's when she, like, cuts her wrists open, when she sacrifices herself for Ciri. Isn't that what happens?
I don't know why that would give her power back, though.
I don't know.
I think maybe it's that, like, being in the plane where chaos came from, it, like, rejuvenated her chaos. She was like a rechargeable battery, and you placed her in the charger for a second, and she had her...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever it is, Yen's back, baby.
Yen is back.
And our team is a team again. We got Jaskier, we got Yen, we got Geralt, and we got Ciri, and they're gonna stick together now.
I mean, they are. But Geralt says, like, you screwed up. Like, I don't forgive you for this yet. Like, you.
But he leaves the door open for forgiveness.
Totally. He doesn't like completely shut her out, but he's just saying that, like, we're not there yet.
Oh yeah, but if she teaches Ciri magic, then find that stuffed unicorn, baby. You teach my daughter how to do some parlor tricks, and then I'll show you how to hide my card.
You tried. You tried.
I tried.
Yeah.
It wasn't very funny. It almost got there.
Yeah. You're still close.
I'm impressed. Look, for this season of The Witcher, Geralt had sex with nobody, and that is not how The Witcher is supposed to go. Okay?
You know what? Yeah,
Geralt
that's
is
impressive.
supposed to get laid.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong. Oh my god. Yeah, I have to say, there were some weak points to the season, but these final 2 episodes really pulled it all together and were really, really worth everything else leading up to it. So I have to say, really, really well done. I'm very excited for next season, but also we got a little teaser for the prequel,
Before we talk about the teaser, I want to ask you, can you rank the episodes from this season really quick? Because my ranking from bottom to top, right, would be 2, 3, 4, 1, and then 5, 6, 7, 8.
I mean, mine is going to be roughly about that.
It's so easy. One was really good. I thought 1 was a really good continuation of last season.
2 and 3 were bad.
2 was bad to me. It didn't work for me. It's not bad. It just didn't work for me. 3 worked for me a little bit better on like one half, but didn't on the other. And then 4, I didn't think was as good as episode 1, but was close, but was a good episode. Mm-hmm. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. From there on, for the second half of this, I would really say even episode 5 is like an 8 to me. Mm-hmm. And episode 8 is like a 9.5. Mm-hmm. In terms of this show, not in terms of all television, but in terms of this show, that is as close to a perfect episode of what this show can be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Action, humor, characters, relationships. I thought the final episode of this was a home run episode of television. Yeah. Loved it. It's maybe the best season finale I've seen of a television show this year. Yeah. And I just want to call that out. Like, Witcher season 2 didn't have the strongest start, but like, it is about how you finish, and Geralt finished hard. He finished hard, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my ranking would probably be fairly similar in there.
I don't usually rank episodes, but I wanted to do that for this one to point out that like second half ramp up to this beautiful conclusion.
Yeah, it was really well done, and I am excited for the origins story that we are going to get.
Blood Origins
teaser at the end there.
It looks cool.
It looks really cool.
It looks very different. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any magic or anything in that. It was all like really like human on human combat. Yeah. And I really dug it.
Elf. Like there are a lot of elves.
But I mean like there wasn't like CGI monster fights.
Yeah, it's person.
It was weapons, shields, and humans.
Totally.
And as someone who loves stage combat, I live for that stuff, right? Yeah. It's why I love the library or the spa fight from episode 7 so much.
So good.
I love when you just give human beings and give stunt people cool weapons and have them fight each other. Mm-hmm. And the rectangular shields and the way that those are being used in the combat in that teaser, awesome.
Yeah, let us know what your ranking of the episodes is. Mm-hmm. Love to know if you thought this finale was like top of the tier, or if there was something else you liked better. Because I think the finale was my favorite. But
I think you're wrong if you don't think the finale is the best episode. It's the best episode of this show.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the best episode of Witcher season 1 and 2. Completely.
It transcends everything that comes before it and sets up a future for the show that is... We finally have everyone together. Yeah. To like tell a story about relationship and them working together against an enemy. Like it's so good. Yeah. I was a little worried in half 1, but the second half of the season.
Yeah. Well done, guys.
I don't even know what to say. Like, it was so good. And the score this season is great. Yeah. The guy doing the music for The Witcher, my shirt is so open, sorry. The guy doing the music for The Witcher, man, like, just nails it every episode. Like, we didn't call out the music a lot in these spoiler chats, but I do want to give it the love to it, because the Witcher music really builds out this world and helps these episodes have, like, a real distinct feel to them.
Yeah. 100%.
Costume design this season, incredible. Mm-hmm. Like, there's some really cool stuff. Emhyr, the Nilfgaard, the White Flame, his costume, gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks really good. And Geralt's armor looks phenomenal.
Geralt's armor looks hot.
Yeah, well done, guys.
If I had sex with Geralt, I would ask him to keep it on. I'd be like, open the zipper, let it out. But like keep the rest.
But everything
on.
else, I'm into it. He's also got a hot body though, so it's like I could do either.
I mean, look, if I were to get my hooks into Geralt, I'm not going one round. We're doing, you know, we're going on vacation for a week. We're gonna honeymoon somewhere, and I'm gonna get all different kinds of that action. Come at that ass from every angle.
Yeah, you are. I believe in you. Thanks guys for watching. I would love to know your thoughts on The Witcher and whether or not you'd let Geralt keep his armor on. Leave a comment below. Let us know. Make sure you like the video. You can also dislike the video if you could. If you can't see it, we can see it. So that would be a choice. I don't know. You could make it. It's there. It's an option that's available to you.
Yeah, you can also leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. As always, you can follow us around the internet. I'm over at Nerdy Nightly.
And I'm over at Clarsh Dakaris.
We stream on Twitch under those names. So if you want to, if you're watching this, there's only a little bit of the run-through left of her Witcher 3 playthrough. She's so close to the end. So if you want to go check that out, I highly recommend it. It's really funny to watch her play The Witcher because she'll be like doing something and it'll look like she's focused on the story and then it's just 2 solid hours of Gwent. We also have some real-life Gwent cards, so we're going to be playing Gwent here on the channel soon. We're really excited for that. We meant to have that up in time for the season. Didn't do that. Oops, our bad.
Sorry.
But January, look for a big old Gwent tournament between the two of us. If you have a punishment you think the loser of that tournament should have to undergo, leave that in the comments down below, and we'll have some fun with our Gwent tournament. Also, before we leave, we do have to shout out one last time, gamersubs.gg. That's subs with 2 P's. Link is going to be in the description of this video. Go over to their website, put in coupon code CLARUS, get your 10% off. And yeah, anything else you want to plug?
No, that's everything.
As always, y'all, my name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
Do something nerdy tonight. This is our last Witcher video. That's sad. This was fun.